let's get our screen up. We're going to share a presentation with you guys that is going to give you an overview of what this program is about. So go right ahead, Mary.
Okay. So here we are. We're going to jump in here and give you a bird's eye view of the program and walk you through, why it's important, what the program is, and then Allie's going to give you a further of the how. So I'm the why. I love brains. I love to talk about brains. I could do it in my sleep. And so we're here to kind of walk you through this. So we want to look at the unique capabilities of brains, especially brains at work. What are the main components of supporting our brain at work so that it remains productive? And then by the end, you'll have the ability to create a personal action plan to address this. Okay, so we're going to walk you through this. So Allie and I met. I'm a neuroimmunologist. She's a life coach. We met at a women's professional meeting, and I was talking about brain health, and we brainstormed that we need to provide. I really believe in talking more about the brain and creating brain wonder in folks, so they wonder how they can get it working better and keep it working. And she knows how to, get humans to enact change and make new habits. So that's why we came together. So what about, our brains, and how are they special gifts? What do our brains need? We need to enact with the people around us. So we're very socially perceptive. We know what people are thinking. We look people in the eye. We sense emotions. We connect with people. And when we do this, we become more resilient because our brain is more healthy when we have people around us. This slide is acknowledging the male and female brain do not work exactly the same. This program is for all because resiliency matters for all. But women tend to assess the emotions in the room at a different level or at a different rate, and men have other gifts. So we're going to talk about what works for everybody. All right, so, we talked a little bit about an action plan, and I'll tell you about this area in my yard that I really wanted a garden, and I kept looking at it and hoping there was a garden, but there was never a garden because I didn't really get to the point that I learned about how to grow a garden or get the tools and actually do it. Now, obviously, looking at this gorgeous picture of a garden, somebody did all those steps. They learned what would grow in this environment, what looks good together, and then they learned how to plant it and fertilize it and obviously maintain it. So those are some images of Allie and I maintaining our lovely gardens. Okay. So what is the reality of our brain and brain diseases, and why do we even talk about it as an organ? We hear a lot about heart health. We know about heart health. We don't hear a lot about brain health enough, at least in my opinion. But it is, as it says here, this is a quote from the American Brain Foundation, that it's a formidable foe because 1 in 6 of our family members could be affected by some kind of brain disease or brain disorder. That's 55 million Americans. So likely, many people that we know are currently affected or have been affected by a disease or a disorder of the brain. So anything we can learn to be preventative is super important, right? So that's why we're here. Okay, this is a really interesting term that was actually coined in the 1940s. It's called epigenetics. Epigenetics is a term referring to the fact that we have genes. So that's why we have a pen and a pencil. So we have the genes that we're born with, but the environment, what we, where we live, the food we eat, the air that we breathe, the water that we drink, may be able to modify the outcomes of the genes. So this has been looked into in some brain diseases and brain disorders, that our actions can actually maybe change the outcome of some genes. And where this came from is there was a study with Alzheimer's, people at risk to have Alzheimer's because some of their family members had Alzheimer's. And if they had healthy behaviors, they had less of a risk of having Alzheimer's. So they still had the same genes, but their outcomes were different. And that's why we have pen, pencil. So the genes were still there, they did not change. But the pencil is the fact that we can modify, potentially modify the outcome of some of our genes related to our health, which is great news. Okay, time is brain. So, the million-dollar question is, when is the right time to think about our brain? And it actually is all life phases. So we have a picture of a baby in utero, pregnant woman, older folks, middle-aged folks, young folks. So really, we all should be thinking about, like we just talked about, environment, how to care for it, how to give it some attention that it needs. And that's why we have the CLE program for you. Okay. So this is our program, and just a quick overview. So there's 3 parts: connection, lifestyle, emotions. Allie and I are from Cleveland, Ohio, and so we see a lot of CLE for Cleveland. So we're using that for our program. So CLE will be our program, and you'll see that over and over. So connection, lifestyle, emotions, all of those things can help support optimal brain performance. Okay, connection. Why is that important? So at work, we talk a lot about our network, and that is our net worth. So we say that is our capital, our social capital. So the people that we know, people around us, are our social capital. They help us stay healthy. And we're going to talk a lot about that. We're going to talk about cognitive activities. I mean, if we're working people, the good news is, we keep our brain active, we're learning new things. So we got that, So a lot of these you may be really good at, and you could just say, check, I'm active in this area, I'm good. Or you say, oh, I'm new to town, I don't really have the social connections I did in my last job, my last location. So then the opportunities to work on. We have loneliness and hearing loss here because those are negative things for brain health. So if folks don't see a lot of humans, especially during this time of COVID, and isolation, that's negative for our health. So we need to be purposeful about connecting with other humans in a safe way. Zoom is the answer these days. Hearing loss is negative because the brain is having less stimuli, it's not hearing as much, so it doesn't stay as healthy, and that actually increases people's risk of dementia. So we know very clearly that the brain needs connection. Lifestyle. So what is lifestyle? It's what we do during the day, right? So it's how we I love this little guy. So we have this cute little guy going here because what we know about our brain is it is an organ that needs blood flow all through it, around it, in it. And it needs to be the just right flow in the garden hose. It can't be too much, like this little guy with the hose. So if it's too much, like too high of blood pressure, it could be negative for brain performance and brain health. So vascular health matters. That's why everyone should have a primary care doctor looking at vascular risk factors like cholesterol, blood pressure, blood sugar. So see your primary doctor at least once a year. Movement matters for lifestyle and brain health. So that means, how much do you exercise? Are you running after your little kids, grabbing the garden hose? Are you stretching? Are you lifting weights? We're going to talk in detail about that, and nutrition and sleep. And then there are some, what we would say, toxins or negative behaviors on brain health, and those would be tobacco in any form, and excessive alcohol, which right now is more than 7 drinks a week, is what the CDC lists as excessive alcohol intake. Why does that matter? It's actually a toxin at that level for brain health. So for all those reasons, we want to know what to do day to day to keep our brain healthy, and we call that lifestyle. So we're going to go into detail about those things. Okay. And then emotional processing. This is something a lot of us just kind of hope works, and maybe we don't really know what to do. We just hope that we feel good and that we don't get angry about something and that the day goes okay. Well, we're going to break this down into the positive things we can do to learn about how we can name emotions and learn how to recognize them and not always react to them, and how that will be really beneficial to our stress management. Mood disorders or mental diseases are obviously stressors or make brain functioning harder. So that's where folks need to go see professionals and get the care that they need if those are in place. So we'll talk all about this. All right, Allie, it's all you. Tell us what we have next.
Yes, let's talk about the plan because it's awesome. We're going to learn so much in this program, and then we're going to need to figure out how to apply it and create the plan that actually allows it to come into our life. So let's dive into that. And to get started, I just want you to take a second to think about yourself. And I want you to think about yourself as the beautiful flower that you are, and really notice in your mind just like what makes you you, what makes you special, what is it about you that is so valuable to this world? What is it about you that your job, what would happen if you weren't able to do your job? What is it about you and your family and in your co-working space, your neighborhood, wherever you are? This is all a huge piece of or this is what your brain does. It allows you to have these gifts and to be who you are. And so really taking a second to acknowledge that is hugely important, because this is ultimately going to be your why. Why are we taking care of our brain? Why is really important? Of course, it's to be more productive. Of course, it's to have good focus, but it's ultimately to maintain your gifts and continue to allow you to be you. So really understand that, like, when you're figuring out your why for this program, this is it. And it is all about you and just allowing you to continuously improve in all of the ways and just maintain all those beautiful things that you are. So how are we going to do this? And really, throughout this program, it's all about the information that we give you. You're going to take it into your life and you're going to become really aware of what are you already doing well, and where do you see some gaps, and where do you see some spaces for improvement, and then how can you create habits to help make that easier. And so throughout the program, Mary's giving lots of information, and I'm also helping to give you ideas on how to implement this, but the ultimate goal is to create habits around the information that you're given, so that the CLE becomes automatic to you and you don't have to think about it, just like brushing your teeth. And then, as with any program and anything we do, we want to just give ourselves so much grace and so much self-love, especially during this time of COVID. You're balancing work. We know you're balancing changes that are coming down from all different directions all the time. You're balancing your life at home, and that is looking a lot different than it has in the past. So just, taking a second to give yourself that self-love and really appreciate all the things that are going well for you and, are working out, and then also give yourself the grace when needed. So right now, I just want you to take a second, and in the program, you'll see that there's a PDF of this, so you can actually print it and you can feel free, or you can just jot on a piece of paper. But I just want you to think about where you are right now. So if we were to ask you, like Mary had mentioned, about connection, how connected you feel to people, what about your loneliness, your hearing loss, on a scale of 1 to 10, just put the number that comes to mind. Just write that down. And then move on to lifestyle. If you were going to give yourself a rating 1 through 10 on lifestyle, where would you be? Are you going to the doctor regularly? Are you getting good sleep? Are you moving your body on a regular basis? Is your nutrition and your weight at a place that feels really good, where you feel like you're fueling yourself well? Are you, managing alcohol and tobacco, or, abstaining from it? What does this look like? And be really honest with yourself. You're not turning this into anyone. This is only for you. And so the more honest you are, the more you're going to get out of this program, because you're going to then be able to take the information that you learn and apply it and notice how much improvement you have potential to have. And then do the same thing with emotions. Are you good at managing stress? Do you feel like that's something that has space for improvement? Do you manage your emotions well? Do you allow them to be released in a way that's healthy, or do you squish them down and try not to think about them? And, are you seeing someone for help with mood disorders or mental illness, if that's something that challenges you? So give yourself a rating 1 through 10 on each of these areas. And then you're just going to take that with you and know where you stand right now as of today. And that's going to be also a driving factor in your why, so that as you learn more information, you understand that this is where you have room for improvement. So this is an amazing fact that 45% of our day is often spent on autopilot. So what we're doing automatically all the time is what exactly Mary is talking about, that's making up your lifestyle, and that's making up the results of how well your brain is functioning. How are you going to make those changes to really optimize it? Because ultimately, when you create things to become habits, then they are going to become your autopilot, and then they can serve your brain, so you don't end up, like she was saying, with looking back, wishing that you would have spent a little more time focusing on this. So this is another huge why as we move forward in this program. And as you're thinking over your life and you're looking over those 3 spheres that we just talked about, the CLE that you're going to hear over and over and over again in greater detail, you're actually going to get the details of, like, how much exercise is really important. What do studies say about loneliness? What do studies say about, nutrition. And as you move forward in this program, there's two ways to think about creating change in your life. And the first way is the firework or the big bang effect. And the second way is the low hanging fruit. So just take this with you as you move forward with the program. And maybe some of the habits or some of the things that you learn are hugely important. And you might need to make a drastic life change, like a big bang or a firework. And some of the things might be more simple, where those are the low hanging fruit. You can easily make those changes. And based on the research that Mary's sharing and the information that we're giving you, that that's actually having a positive evidence-based impact on your brain resiliency and optimizing. And so as you move forward, continuously bringing yourself back to this place of like, what does my life look like in the regards to connection and my lifestyle habits and my emotional processing? And as you learn, to get into more detail, you can always revisit this and you can always continuously apply the things that you are learning. So we all know that there's going to be rabbits in your garden. There's going to be obstacles that you run into, and just know that you're not alone. Time and stress, money, these are all common obstacles. Of course, we all share the obstacle of COVID right now in these crazy times. And with so much uncertainty at work and with so much uncertainty in the world in general, you are going to run into obstacles throughout this program. We just want to encourage you to keep coming back to this program. It is self-paced. So if you have something on your calendar, you blocked your time to work on this for a few minutes and to just dive into this information, and something gets in your way, just kind of take a deep breath, recognize that of course that's going to happen. It's life, and get right back to it. So you are not, this is not graded. You have time and space to do this. The most important thing is that you actually do, because that's where the impact is created. And getting support. So reaching out, we are completely here for you. We have a community set up that we would love to support you through. There are so many amazing professionals. Please, please, please reach out in any capacity if you feel like you need extra support in any of these spaces, so we can point you in the right direction, or we can give that to you. And your next step. So what you're going to do now is really take a second. Like we said, hopefully you already have blocked your calendar and you have written things down and written time down and really made this a priority to get through. And so continuously moving forward is the best way and the only way. So just take baby steps, big leaps, little jumps, whatever you need to. This is your time and this is your journey. So we want you to be strong enough to stand alone and smart enough to know when you need help, and brave enough to ask for it. Because again, this is that important. Your brain is everything for work, for productivity, for love, for your life. So make sure that you are being really consciously aware of yourself and what you need right now. And we are just continuously planting seeds to help your brains grow and be more optimized, so that ultimately we can continue healing the world through more awareness and taking better care of ourselves. So we're excited to continue on this mission, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.